Stacey and J Sbu, East Coast Radio.
Oh, it's a classic.
I love this song so much.
It's such a beautiful song. Hashtag beautiful Mariah Carey just before this one. Ava Max, whatever. Also in the mix called Maroon 5. Happy Friday, everybody. Stacey and J Sbu coming to you live from our home away from home, Suncoast. Specifically, right outside the Barnyard Theatre. Before us, there are kids playing with water that's sprinkling off the ground next to an octopus. It is the perfect Friday.
Let me tell you something. I'm watching these youths who have come complete with swimming costumes.
Hey, Baba.
And I can see here no one over the age of 13, so we're out.
Yeah.
So I mean, just like, oh, he's in little Crocs,
Look at that,
babes.
look at that. Oh,
but
wow.
I mean, everybody knows that Suncoast is the ultimate destination as far as family and entertainment is concerned, and also food.
Yeah.
So we must tell you that if we sound like we have had a big lunch, it's because we did.
Yes, we did.
Popped over just across the way to John Dory's. I was convinced I'd have to be wheeled over here to be outside of the barnyard. If you're familiar with the layout of Suncoast, you know it's literally across the way. Ate so much. I mean, J Sbu and I had matching meals today.
Guys, it's just aligning so perfect that I might just, Stacey, while the people here at the barnyard are rehearsing, I might just jump on the table with you.
Guys,
teamwork makes the dream work.
We knew this day would finally come, right? So while we are aligning and getting in our Siamese twins bags, we are going to have a conversation this hour, very light, but around food, because it's very rude to talk about lunch when people haven't eaten. So now we're going to include you so that everybody can be hungry by the time the end of the hour is wrapped, right? What food reminds you of your happiest childhood memories? So when you smell it, when you see it, when you think happy, youthful, what is that food that pops to mind?
I'm going to be basic Mandeni boy. I haven't had this in a while. I'm still in the process of teaching Zinhle how to make it. It's steamed bread, ucheka, and beans. Yo, that is my childhood memory meal. Like any day, I'm eating like I'm a monster, basically.
Like you've never eaten in your
all
life.
my hands, like woo, sitting down, literally taking off the t-shirt, like you've
Clear
never
the
seen
area,
me chow
please.
before, bro. Like
Clear the
that's
area.
my go-to meal, definitely memory-wise.
So there we go. So that's J Sbu's. What is yours? What is a food that reminds you of when you were young and you were happy, i.e. you were not paying any bills, you were like these children across the way playing in the water here, just thriving on their parents' salaries? 061 792 9495.
Hi, Stacey and J Sbu. You're speaking to Nandi from Durban. So a food that reminds me of good childhood memories is so I grew up in an Afrikaans household, and there's a meal my oma used to make. It's called melkkos. Okay, so directly translated, it's milk food. If you haven't tried it yet, you have to. It is absolutely delicious. A very sweet type of food, but it's so nice.
Stacey and J Sbu, East Coast Radio.
One Direction, Story of My Life on East Coast Radio. KZN's number one hit music station. Back to back with Please Pay Attention.
Okay.
Respect Must Be Paid.
All right.
John Cicada. Just another day. Guys, what a time to be alive. Stacey and J Sbu coming to you live from our home away from home, but more specifically, if you're looking to come and say, hey, girl, hey, we are stationed outside of the Barnyard Theatre. Some may say we are the warm-up act for tonight's Good Vibration show, actually.
100% Stacey. Almost jumped on the table to showcase a couple of dance moves, but I had to hold her back just because we want that on the show.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't want to be too soon.
We also want to give a huge shout out to John Dory's here at Suncoast for feeding us and taking care of us meal-wise. And speaking of food, in this hour, we are chatting about the food that reminds you of your happiest childhood moments. You send that voice note to 0617929495. Now, Stacey, I'm going to hazard a guess that... What was yours?
Okay, so actually...
Please tell me Dombolo. Please tell me Dombolo.
Okay, no, it wasn't. It was little cherry tomatoes and little like blocks of ham.
Oh, yes.
And little blocks of Gouda cheese on toothpicks. That was my favorite. My mom used to make it for me, and I thought I was so fancy. And then I'd have that with an appetizer because I thought I was a grown. Meanwhile, I was 7 and I had no problems in my life. You see, those kinds of things. A young Stacey, an innocent Stacey, an optimistic Stacey. Now I'm all those things, just older.
Yeah, tax-free Stacey.
Hey, it was a different time. So KZN, chime in here. The meal that reminds you of your happiest point in your childhood. What is that? Like, I'm sure as you think about it, you can actually taste it now. The WhatsApp line's open.
How's it, Stacey and J Sbu? Yeah, it's Mike, everybody's favorite. I'm gonna say it's roast lamb. Lamb on a spit, or even just a nice roast lamb from a restaurant or something. It ignites something, it ignites endorphins in my brain, or the cells that bring back memories to when my mum was still around, and yeah, that used to be one of our delicacies.
Hi Stacey and J Sbu, this is Marnie from Glenwood. The food that reminds me of my happiest childhood memories is probably fish fingers and mashed potatoes. It was the lunch that I got when I came home from school when I was in primary school.
Hello, Stacey and J Sbu. It's Sia here from Fairhead. Now, I have to say that the cheeseburger from Wimpy has flooded most of my childhood memories. I went to a school that we were privileged enough to get, I don't even know if it was a sponsorship or whatever, but whenever we were anywhere near a Wimpy, we would get the cheeseburger and Coke.
Stacey and J Sbu, East Coast Radio.
It's Selena Gomez, single soon. Just before this one, Beautiful, Akon. 2 songs with the title Beautiful in 1 hour.
I see what's happening here.
Yeah,
thanks, music department.
It's going to be a beautiful Friday. It's going to be a beautiful weekend. Stacey and J Sbu coming to you live from Suncoast outside the Barnyard Theatre. In this hour, we're taking you down memory lane. We're talking about, the food that reminds you of your happiest childhood moments. You know what? I want to wing Nicholas Tatham because I have a feeling his childhood memory meal is like caviar or something.
Not caviar.
Wow.
Right,
wow,
Nick?
Wow.
You've lived a life we know nothing about.
I've never eaten caviar in my life.
Guys, the way that people probably listen to the show and think that Nicholas Tatham is the fanciest, is basically like, the Queen Mother reincarnated.
He lives up the hill, Stacey. Do you understand who we're talking to here?
This is an oak who rocks the K-way for like just casually, like on a Tuesday to a business meeting.
Guys.
But Nick, you went to boarding school, so like what meal reminds you of when you were happy and youthful?
Can I good ones or bad ones?
Good ones.
Okay, there are very few when it comes to boarding school food. Nothing like a good hamburger. That was a good one.
Classic.
But
Classic.
It's the bad ones that stick in my memory. Chicken Other King.
What is it?
And beef stroganoff.
Oof, yeah.
Those are
We've
two.
had this conversation.
Those are two that I will never touch again.
You know what? We're looking at you differently now. We understand your pain. You've lived a life of struggle.
I'm telling you now, someone listening to the show is a trained and official psychologist going, yes, food-based trauma is a real thing. Thank you, Nicholas, for sharing. Man. You're so brave. Over on our Facebook page, Shivani's saying, well, my dad used to make spare ribs. Absolutely saucy and delicious. Also not getting hungry. For us.
One that is living rent-free in my brain right now. Neither Reddy saying, my happiest meal moments come from biryani.
Yes, ma'am.
You mutton biryani, guys, with them dal. Oh, listen, I'm going in too hard here, but J Sbu loves a biryani, hey?
Who doesn't? And then also Kavir, polony sandwiches and Oros juice. If that was not the meal of champions after school, then I don't know what was. So we're going to round this out in the next few minutes, KZN, so get your voice notes in. A meal that reminds you of your youth when you were happy and carefree on 0617929495, just like the rest of these kids did.
Stacey and J, Ryan from Drummond. Hello from Mahai camping site. My childhood memory food would be trifle. And Stacey, I know how much you love your trifle.
Hey Stacey and J Sbu, it's Kate. So when I was younger, my dad used to work for Tova and he used to bring home all of the yummy goodies. Do you guys remember the ice cream with the colorful sticks inside of it and then you could use it to make like a toy? Oh my gosh, that was just the best childhood memories.
How's it, Stacey and J Sbu and East Coast? Christopher Russen here. My go-to meal and childhood memory, and I still have it up until today, at least once a week, is Johnny's.
Hey, Stacey and J Sbu. I am Slengiwe from Mandini. The food that reminds me the most of my childhood is the Millis spread with chicken curry.
My name's Stacey and J Sbu. You're speaking to Abby. It's got to be something that's cooked by my mom. Most probably a chicken curry or a mutton curry, maybe crab curry.
Hi guys, the food that reminds me of my happiest childhood moments has to be my late grandmother's sugar roti.
Hello wonderful people. When I was a kid, as a treat once a month, my dad used to get us a seafood platter from the Langostine restaurant in Farningham Ridge, Pinetown.
I would say a food that would remind me of my childhood was definitely Christmas. They made like roast and gammon ham, and every time I smell that, it's the best smell in the world.
Stacey and J, for me, my childhood memory was probably my mum's homemade lasagna. This wasn't any fancy Italian lasagna with marinara and mozzarella. No, it was cheddar, but cheddar cheese. But like, you know, it was, I don't know, that just reminds me of my childhood.
My one would say would be the tin fish sandwiches and the mutton biryani my mother and father they used to have every morning on a Sunday. 4 a.m. my mother would cook and we would go to the beach, my brothers and I, and that is one of the best memories of when we were young.
Stacey and J Sbu. Weekdays 3 to 6 p.m. East Coast Radio.